Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and today we're looking at Pac-Man Championship Edition 2. Apparently they never made a deluxe edition, or maybe it always was Championship Edition, was the title for the best version of the first game. This came out in 2016 and received mixed reviews, and I'm not 100% sure that it really was the same team that worked on this game compared to the previous one. So it becomes a bit of a question, just like how much more do you want of Pac-Man? Did you manage to really enjoy the first championship edition, which I did, but it was certainly a game that had a wall that you would hit unless you were just an expert Pac-Man player. And frankly, you're not playing the old school Pac-Man, you're playing the new Pac-Man. Here we have an adventure that unlocks and a score attack that unlocks, but apparently you can't do anything at all without doing the tutorial. So let's just hop in here. And it feels definitely more like a cell phone game in the way that it has distinct levels going from left to right there, even though that's exactly how the previous game went. Conditions for clearing fruit will appear when the fruit bar is full, which is different slightly from how it normally would work. The fruit would appear when you cleared a certain number of pips or an entire board. Even if you don't eat all the pack dots, you'll move on to the next maze once you eat the fruit to clear the stage. You can hit X to do. Oh, and we have 2 quests here. Like, all of this feels fine, and so far so good. I will say maybe there is a tilt shift issue here that you can't adjust, and seemingly there's no system for adjusting your graphics. There seems to be like no tweak at all. I don't know why you specifically would need stars, and potentially you're going to be gated by requiring it. A ghost will get angry if you continue to touch it. If you touch angry ghosts, you'll lose a life, and the remaining lives will be reduced by 1. It seems like very basic stuff for the second game. Touch it repeatedly to get it angry. Touch it and lose a life. Eat this to get a to clear the stage. That seems oddly. That does definitely seem like a different experience versus what Pac-Man has been. The idea that you bump into Ghost. And that is kind of my question here. Is this a mixed game because it is dared to change a sacred cow in the form of Pac-Man? As long as you don't touch it repeatedly in a short space of time, it will not get angry no matter how many times you touch it. Touch it 3 times without making it angry. All right. Like, at a certain point, this just sounds like I'm talking dirty. And I don't know specifically why the numbers seem to just go up over and over again. And in that case, I guess you would have made the fruit appear and not been able to catch it. Let's go ahead and retry that and just see how that would have played out. Like, I like the idea of the numbers going up, but it's going to get fairly ridiculous fairly fast. Bounce on that. Bounce on that. And bounce on that. So, yeah, they seem to be somewhat breaking the rule here. And frankly, I just don't know if I'm ever going to be in the mentality in which I'd want to play a lot of Pac-Man. Even the first game, which I played on Xbox 360, then played again for my YouTube channel on PC, the second time I came around to playing it, I didn't go very detailed or in depth. There was definitely a level where, while talking and trying to be a video game critic, it became unreasonable that I'd actually be able to beat the game in a reasonable time or beat the higher level difficulties. If you find yourself in a fix, use a bomb to bomb jump A back to a start point. Directly below it is the safe zone where you're protected from the ghost. Eat to fill up the gauge, use the bomb, and escape to a start point. So here we have 4 very neon glowing characters. Like, I'm not sure I like that either. I won't tell you who, but there is an artist that has a bit of an obsession of drawing the ghosts of Pac-Man as lewd anime girls, or not really anime girls, but lewd humanoid form girls. And frankly, I think going in that direction might be the kind of spice that such an old arcade game might be interesting to have. But then again, you are once again changing a sacred cow, and there probably for most people is a great argument to say there's nothing wrong with Pac-Man that isn't fixed with Miss Pac-Man, and there's nothing wrong with Miss Pac-Man that's ever going to be fixed by anything else. Championship Edition 1 gave us a very different experience and felt like it was kind of taking the general idea of Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man and making something really good. Here, it seems like it's just giving us something very different. You can use bomb jump to take a short cut back to a start point. Bomb jump as soon as the fruit appears to clear the stage instantly. Like, this is a lot of tutorial for the sequel of a game. And I could definitely see a case here where the only thing you could really take from this is that they are limiting you somewhat in time. So once we start getting to real levels, we will potentially have a struggle with a time limit. But that's also not really what you want in a Pac-Man game. And that's where even Championship Edition 1 kind of changed the game on you, is the idea that there would be a time limit unless you're playing an unlimited mode, which we have yet to unlock any modes besides tutorial mode so far. A sleeping minion will wake up when you passes in front of it, when Pac-Man passes in front of it. At a point, a minion will attach to its leader and form a ghost train. Figure out how close you need to get to wake up a sleeping minion is a key to formatting effective strategies. Wake up all the ghosts. And you can see the game has now just completely zoomed out on you. And now the ghost trains, instead of just following you immediately, oh, I cannot play this with I cannot play this at all with the analog stick. There's something rather wrong with definitely something wrong with the analog stick there, and no ability to adjust it. Yeah, so now I'm playing with the D-pad. I almost never play a game with a D-pad. On certain mazes, a power pellet will appear instead of a fruit, and the fruit seems to always be the same fruit, at least to start with. the power pellet gauge is filled, eat the power pellet, and the ghost will become a frightened ghost for a while, enabling Pac-Man to eat it. It's weird that they're not just naming these and instead showing us icons, as if somebody doesn't know who these characters all are. During this time, the ghost will leave a color trail in the form of a ghost route, giving you a chance to study its escape patterns. That seems overly easy. And it seems like in most cases you're just playing against the red ghost, which very possibly is not acting the way a red ghost would normally act. Let's see. So now we have that, and then all of a sudden the game just minimized on me. Why would it do that? That makes no sense. What did I do just to clear it? Did I escape to really catch the ghost? It didn't look like I did. Let's just try that again. That really didn't make sense. You run down this way, jump down here, grab this, and then you kind of eat it, but then the ghost stays on the screen. Wow, I'm definitely sensing something here that feels like a considerable lack of polish and just rushing out. Eat the ghost train leader and you automatically eat the remaining ghost for dessert. Eating ghosts in succession adds more points, so aim for a longer ghost train to rack up points. Wake up all the ghosts, eat the power pellet, chomp on the ghost train leader, and then gobble up the rest. And this is almost exactly the same pattern, slightly different. And then eat that, and then it does this zoom in. This actually feels a lot like a Pac-Man 3D game that was available on PC and wasn't particularly good. That's not the visuals you would want. Man, I'm seeing a bunch of tweaks I'd like to see enabled, and I'm not seeing any options to enable it. Once a ghost is eaten, it'll latch onto another ghost train and rejoin the action, making the ghost train longer and faster, which does make it then feel like the entirety of the levels potentially just go in circles. They'll never make a Miss Pac-Man game because there was some legal wrangling around that. And apparently we're gonna eat in the end. See, no, I just hate that visual. Like, that is really distracting. There's just a ton of neon here. And certainly there were some visual forms of mazes in the first game that weren't my favorite, but all we've been getting is neon so far. I really don't know if I'm going to make it past the tutorial here. When Pac-Man gets close to the Runaway Fruit, when Pac-Man gets close, the Runaway Fruit will run around a corner and stop. Just like Ghost, it won't turn around. Please read its movements to catch it. The Runaway Power Pellet also moves in the same way. Catch and eat the fruit twice. And you've got a minute for that. And so he'll run and then turn a corner. And then you have a visual aspect going to another area, which, yeah, I'm not sure I agree with that. Yeah, I'm not sure I I like the idea of a transition screen. It's getting too visual and distracting from the actual gameplay. The Championship Edition 1 was very visual and the audio was great, certainly, but it definitely wasn't a distraction or that distracting. In boss battles, you have to clear each stage with a time limit or it's game over. Wow. Well, that drastically changed how the game is played. Clear the required number of stages and eat super pellet on the last stage to clear the course. When a fruit appears, the boss will attack the maze and the ghost will become angry, so eat the fruit quickly. Don't forget to use the bomb jump when you're in trouble or when time runs out. And like all the good ideas in this so far, such as the bomb jump, were in the original Championship Edition. It really feels like somebody was just really into the idea of making a visual mess, as it were, of a giant 3D image. Let's see. Next. Like, I just don't think you can play this way. Like, this is such a ridiculous distraction. Oh, come on, fruit. And you can kind of catch up on it, but man, you're gonna run out of time. There we go. See, this is like the tutorial and I'm still kind of failing miserably. Come on. Wow. So in the tutorial, you just fail immediately. Just way too much going on here. And you've completely gone off the rails. This is not Pac-Man by any means. I also kind of hate the idea that you aren't capable of collecting and eating all of the pellets. I find that fairly annoying. Because that was the whole point of Pac-Man, and now they've just decided, well, no, that's not the point of Pac-Man anymore. Instead, it's a completely different game, which on its own face is not really the game I would want to play. I don't want to be a tiny little Pac-Man figure that blends into the neon graphics so well that you can't even really keep your eyes focused on it while a giant pinky ghost is attacking, maybe not you, but maybe he just attacks the ghosts solely. And we've got like 2 more levels of this that it wants us to do. And just a lot of nothing happening in some places because there's literally no there's like no pellets to eat, so you're not getting a sound effect or anything. So remember, we need the super pellet, and when you eat the super pellet, it seems like it's just all a cutscene. Seems like you're not controlling anything. I kind of get the idea of making just a long 3D chain. And yeah, that definitely looks like the 3D Pac-Man. Why they would take inspiration from Pac-Man 3D, I don't know. That seems like just a really, really dumb idea. And you get an achievement for doing tutorial 1. So that unlocks score attack, but really, color me not impressed at all. Once again, no visual settings, minimal audio settings. Let's see. Follow the pack dot path. In general, pack dots appear in a single line that run to the left of Pac-Man's starting position. Follow the path will minimize the risk of colliding with ghosts and is best to stick to until you get used to the game. Okay. Seems like we very well have just slight spins on the original game, and that's about it. Doesn't seem like they're adding anything new. Here we could select specific mazes, which all seem to be mostly neon. You can't even really get a good visual on it, so it's kind of hard to tell. I'm going to stick with like maze 8. And we can see that there's a lot of things that are going to unlock, which I don't feel like that's what you'd want. We could potentially change the background and find something that might be a little bit easier to watch, but they all seem to be moving distract backgrounds instead of a nice just stationary, hey, let's give us a black background. Let's see. Alright, well, if we keep the black background and do that, then apparently there's slight variance on the way the characters are drawn, but these slight variants don't seem to be too varied, and they still seem to have a bit of a glow around them. And here they're making some other Bandai references. And then camera 1 versus camera 2, which I think camera 2 is what we probably want, versus making it really 3D, which, yeah, that's definitely what you don't want. I'm going to go with camera 2, and then auto on the background music. At least now you have something a little bit more visually reasonable. Alright. And what are we looking for at this point? Score attack? Right? So they've got this idea of jumping, which the idea of jumping isn't a terrible idea. Oops. Kind of messed that up. But a little bit of a change doesn't fix the lacking problems. A lot of times when this stuff happens in Pac-Man, you need to be able to recover from your mistakes and choose a different path. And I'm not sure that even the first game really had a great system for that. Let's see. Yeah, big 3D image there. Let's go to the next level. These levels are different. So if you did just want more levels, this might suit you if you had just completely burned out of Championship Edition 1 DX. But the vast majority of people probably didn't go that far. And so you can just kind of hide, which Pac-Man, only at like high level professional play would you be able to manipulate the ghosts to hide so that you are safe. And you just bump, and no longer do you have the sparks mode, which I really enjoyed the idea of the sparks. So that kind of stinks too. Like, I really would have preferred to have just almost collided with somebody and have time slow down in all fairness, there very well may have been a point where the game itself was not running as smoothly as it should have been in Championship Edition 1, and perhaps this was an attempt on the part of Bandai Namco to address that issue without actually being able to address the issue and just have better programming. Which I think at the core, that's really what they needed to have done, is just improved the programming on Championship Edition 1, given some more levels. I don't know if there really are any new concepts that you can introduce. There probably were some things, but they would have been just like time rewind manipulation stuff, which would have been a cool idea, where it freezes time when you get hit and then rewinds you back a few seconds, or perhaps a different system in totality, and you're just bouncing against all these guys, and they don't die, they don't kill you. Like, they're probably, between the cartoons, have been decent attempts to give some characterization to the ghosts in Pac-Man, but I don't know if any of that has really succeeded in the general parlance of people's minds and society's understanding of the Pac-Man universe. And frankly, I don't know if giving them characters or personalities changes the game in a good way, because it really then stops it from being just the simplistic arcade game that it is. So we got slightly over 2 million points. The high score was 500,000 by default. And that was a pretty pathetic playthrough. But you are going to run into a problem, certainly, where even if you do very, very well on the first level, you're still going to have to play other levels. I needed 3 million to get a, I guess, A ranking, and I guess we're not doing S ranks, or they're not showing them at least. And then you have a high score bar graph here that doesn't tell you how fast you did it in time, which is the more important thing to know in a time score, but instead shows you just between each level that you leveled up how high your point is, which there almost certainly is a maximum of points that you could have collected in each level, which would have been probably either a combination of how fast you collected all the pellets, or just if you collected all the power pellets. So that bar graph's not very useful. Here you get another breakdown of just how many points you get per power pellet, per fruit, per eating ghosts, and per lives that you get at the end for how many lives you've lost as a bonus, which that information might be slightly useful, but not really that useful. And at that point, then you could have single train. Next we have regular, or jumping regular, or jumping single train. So I guess the best thing to do would be to move up diagonally in this direction. And then you have to change all the settings back if you want to. Otherwise you're just gonna be left with playing it the way they want you to play it. It does kind of feel like a game that is not play your way by any means. So each one of these elements would, I guess, be a opportunity to get a bomb if you're going to use the bombs. I can't even with the D-pad. Like, I'm just not used to this control. And we don't seem like we're really getting much of a speed indicator either. So that's another factor here. Is that if this is actually speeding up any, wow, they're jumping to different locations, so you basically would never be able to figure out where anything goes because these are crisscrossing all over the place. This is insanity. This is not playable. Like, totally not playable. You'd have to memorize incredible amounts of the layout of every single different sub-level in the entirety of the game. And here we can see the only difference between single train and regular is that you just have 4 ghost trains, which I just can't get to the fruit. That's all that we're running into, is I just can't get to the fruit. So I'll be surprised if I even make it all the way to the end. So power pellet now. You eat 1, that gets added to the train of another, but now you can only eat them at the beginning, and there was 2 overlapping there, and that didn't count. Wow, just like every visual decision, every gameplay decision, I don't agree with. Like, I'm surprised this is really just mixed, frankly. As much as I liked Pac-Man Championship Editions 1, I'm actually surprised that it isn't just mostly negative. Because I just don't feel like there's a game here that people would want to play. Like, this feels like perhaps an intern was told to make an arcade game and then they reskinned it Pac-Man later, and perhaps that intern really thought they were doing a good job, but nobody bothered to do any quality testing and say, hey, this is just not gonna play well. This is way too visually distracting also. Still, just neon everywhere, neon chains of ghosts. It is ridiculous. And see, at this point, if you were trying to just get score, you would intentionally just hide at the end, not try to move any forward. There was a problem with Championship Edition 1 in the sense that the game hit like a max speed and it couldn't move any faster, so they couldn't really build a game around that idea as a sequel. But it could have just been more of the same. It could have definitely just been another collection, or more accurately, there very possibly should have just never been a sequel to this and all. Major jump of score once I ate all of the ghost. Interesting in the visuals that there are more colored ghosts like behind the other ghosts, or they have like a drop shadow to them, I guess. So yeah, we got massive score for eating all those trains. Is that good enough to unlock the next couple of things? Here we have jumping practice, a jumping platform extravaganza, brand new for Championship Edition. Plan your route carefully and claim victory. A 10-minute score attack practice course. This is just jumping extreme. So why would they unlock a practice Let's see. After the fact. Why ever play practice, frankly? Why not just play regular and get better and better in that format? That really makes no sense at all. And then here we have Hexagon Regular. They tell you how to unlock these things. But did the gameplay really change here? I don't think it did. And one of the things I think it is fair to mention is even Championship Edition 1 was just like wholly and irresponsibly not allowing you to play good old-fashioned Pac-Man, which should have been included. So there probably is on Steam and other platforms a way that Bandai Namco is trying to gouge people to buy the original Pac-Man games. I definitely know that there was like a collection, I think, of Pac-Man, but I could be thinking of a different Bandai Namco product actually, come to think of it. And that was very Pac-Man 3D. But yeah, it definitely feels like you should have, with the purchase of this game, you should be guaranteed, at the very least, to play regular Pac-Man in comparison. And frankly, it should be integrated into the game. There should just be, hey, this is regular Pac-Man by regular rules. You can use regular graphics. You could also use our new graphics and our new music. But we're not going to change the rules any on you. The ghost will move exactly the same way at the exact same pace, which in all fairness, by modern time, I wouldn't be surprised if a regular game of Pac-Man does feel slightly slow. It still wouldn't be a major problem, I think, for most people. And you're just not controlling the... You're just totally not controlling the Pac-Man when you're eating these guys. Come on. I feel like it also would be a very difficult challenge here to get much higher scores than what I'm getting without becoming an expert at this game and playing it over and over again. It really does feel like a story of just leaving well enough alone. They had a surprise success in Championship Edition 1. I would have been fairly happy to go back and play Championship Edition 1 later on in my life and have nostalgia for it, but now I have to remember that there's a Championship Edition 2 that kind of just fails in every aspect to live up to that legacy. Let's see. Come on. We've got like a minute 30 more of this too. I didn't realize you could eat the other ghosts while you had power pellet mode enabled. That's slightly interesting. Why do I not feel in control though? I felt like whenever I failed in the first game, it was my fault. That I hit the wrong button, I stuttered and stumbled on hitting the controller. It felt like you had very tight controls with an analog joystick. Playing on, right now I'm playing on an Xbox 360, no, Xbox One controller, I believe is what I play with nowadays. It's been a while since I checked. But yeah, there's just no options to adjust here and nothing. to work on. Like, were they afraid that somebody was increasing or decreasing the sensitivity on their analog stick, and that very possibly was making the game easier, Championship Edition 1 easier? Like, that's a pointless concern for any game developer to have. So really, it just feels like laziness. This really feels like a lazy, rushed out sequel. And do we do anything different here? You go do this and you do that again, and then you do this and you do that again, and this and this and this and then this and then this. And I guess you have to get at least a D rank. So is there possibly a way to work your way around here? Score attack dungeon regular rank D or higher. So that would be 2 more of these. So we need to do highway single train regular. That's what I meant to say there. So we have to go through 2 more levels. And what I think I would like to do, because I just kind of want to rush through this, because yeah, I have no desire to continue playing this at all, is let's see if we can get a D score in the top left, which it kind of is fairly pointless for them to even show you that you're getting that score. Once we get to a D score, I want to see if I can literally just save and quit. Because there's really no good reason for it to be limited that way. Maybe there are some people out there that would just enjoy playing the adventure mode. Let's see, come on. And so still trying to get that top score. Yeah, this will barely stink if it turns out that you can also see how the bombs aren't really helping anything. The bombs were extremely helpful in Championship Edition 1. Unfortunately, I am just... Alright. Exit game. If you quit now, all progress will be lost. Are you sure? No. So you can't save and exit. So best bet is to just die. Let's just see how hard it is to actually die. Take my thumb literally off the controller and loop in front of it, and it takes... Ooh, a good 40 seconds at least to die. Look how dumbed down this game is, really, compared to the first game. Just really, really, really dumbed down. There's no reason for that. You shouldn't be able to literally take your thumb off the controller and it take that long to die. And yeah, I could see them very well getting complaints about the first game, but the first game was literally called Championship Edition, so I don't know where people would have been surprised there. It wasn't just called Pac-Man. If it was just called Pac-Man, I might see their argument to say, well, it was too fast-paced and it was crazy, and only people with like Adderall in their blood system could really play it to the highest levels. But if you wanted to make a new Pac-Man game that was easier for newcomers, don't call it Championship Edition. Call it Beginner's Edition or New Pac-Man. Pac-Man Odyssey. Just take the name of any Mario game, and you've got a decent idea there. Weirdly, you can't change the appearance of Pac-Man, only the ghosts. Which, yeah, I get it that the ghosts are probably as much the main characters of a Pac-Man game as the Pac-Man himself is, but there's definitely a lot you could do there. I don't want to see him turned into like Sonic or anything, but I would like to see. It's crazy that the train like jumps off the ground. Like, and you lose all momentum when you bomb, which is weirder than you would think. Well, we're up to D, so we can just leave now. Oddly, it doesn't look like there actually is even 4 ghosts on the map. It looks like there's only 3 at the moment. So how do you get the 4th ghost in this path? Yeah, the bombs originally would have put the ghost back in the center, resetting everything. It doesn't do that anymore. It's just they just changed everything. Yeah, if you told me this was some weird mod made by fans of Pac-Man, I'd be much more amenable to it. But having it be the official sequel to a very well-designed first game, it's not great. It's not great at all. There is also, of course, the danger that at any point you might play a game like this and you just might not be in the mood. So this might be a misdirected rage quit on my part. So the mountain, then Manhattan, then Junction, then Championship 1, which is just clearly going to be the same map layout, but it'll play in this new weirder mode. And we'll look at Adventure, and Adventure then unlocks things to clear an area, and we can't get any further in the other areas. That kind of makes sense if you were going to try and make something like this is Super Mario Bros. 3 to Super Mario Bros. 1, but why not have Adventure unlocked by default? And I think we're still going to probably have the exact same problems with the way the game plays. This is a time attack too, so I don't think I can actually accomplish what needs to be accomplished here. Alright, come on. Seriously. Like, I just don't know how much of this you really need to go through. I guess since this is a time attack, you just keep going until you run out of time or die. I'm not sure what the goals really were, but I think it probably somewhat centers around the idea of getting 6 fruits. And you'll see how the bombs, by it resetting you, could probably help you fairly well with that. But I'm gonna run out of bombs if I'm not careful, or run out of time. Let's see. Yeah, I much more enjoyed being able to hit some of the other frozen ghosts. Alright, so you cleared that by getting the 6 fruits. We cleared it on normal, and it gave us 1 star. What was the challenge? Then let's go ahead and exit. It's not what I meant. I thought challenge was going to bring up something different. So on normal you get 11 seconds to start with on time attack. On hard you get 8 seconds. On pro you get 6 seconds. I wouldn't be surprised if there's even a more difficult level that they unlock later. And you need full 10 to take on this boss. And one assumes that there's a boss for at least the 4 ghosts, which tells you there's at least 4 areas, which would give you 44 levels in adventure. And don't know if there's anything else that would kind of work around that idea, because it could be a case where there might be a boss level based on each one of these level designs, which at that case you would have 10 levels times 10 or 11 levels, so 111 110 potential levels, and so it's somewhere between 50 and 100 plus. And there's just like nothing else. Let's see if I'm hitting Y to look at the leaderboards, and apparently the leaderboards have been shut down or can't be accessed at the moment. There does seem like there is more tutorials here. Trick, breaking, corner technique, getting more. Wow. Getting a perfect boss battle. So we've done 1% progress. Well, you really wouldn't know how much progress you've made until you played the second level. 1% could mean nothing, but it does seem to imply that there's somewhere around 100 levels. And there's just like a whole other tutorial section here that they didn't even tell you about. If the ghost is blocking your way, try bumping into it to make it angry. You should be able to proceed while it's mid-air. Alright. So yeah. Apparently I'd already been doing that. That doesn't feel... That does not feel like there's really anything. And why are you collecting stars here in the tutorial? What does that do other than unlock the next tutorial level? If it looks like you're going to collide, slam the brakes with X to keep your distance from it. So you have to manually brake instead of automatically braking. Alright, well, let's see how that works. Nope, it's totally different. It's a just complete, I'm gonna hold the X button down and I'm gonna stop. And when you release, you go forward again. As the worst possible way you could implement braking in a Pac-Man game. Just awful. I would much prefer playing a point-and-click adventure with Pac-Man than playing this, because this really is changing everything and just disrespecting the history of Pac-Man. Press the direction before you reach a corner to emit sparks and perform sparks cornering to allow you to move to turn faster. Alright. So we'll see how this works. So I think I probably am getting some cornering, but not doing it particularly well. See, you can see I'm not getting close enough, fast enough for their liking. Wow. And this is the second time we've run into a tutorial level where it has potentially been impossible for me to succeed. Like, yeah. You'd think they would slow down the sparks so you could kind of practice it in this mode, and that there would just be generic ways to practice in general with it slow. Press the direction before turning. See, I don't... Let's see. Well, apparently I failed. But I got part of it. Press the direction before. Let's see. Let's see a hint. Yeah, real useful hint. See, all I did was hit Y. And it does seem like Y is more of a break thing than anything else. So I don't know if you're supposed to do something like this. That did seem like I got closer, but I don't know if that's because I got luckier or what. The problem here is the controls. Like, the analog stick just doesn't work. The D-pad just doesn't work. If I had an actual arcade stick, I'm not even sure that would work. Yeah. And I assume I did the cornering part there too. Eat all the dots to get more bombs. Yeah. Kind of knew that already. Not that bombs are particularly useful. I imagine your numbering system doesn't change if you went out of order. It's worth mentioning that in Championship Edition 1, when you cleaned out one half of the screen, it would disappear and a new screen, new half of the map would replace it. That does not seem to be the case at all. Yeah, there's a major problem with experimenting with a beloved franchise, and Pac-Man's not even that beloved of a franchise, but Championship Edition was so good, and Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man is historically relevant, certainly, and they've just experimented way too far. If they were going to do something like this, they basically needed you to play as a ghost, and then if you took the idea that this is how Pac-Man plays when you play as the ghosts, chasing after multiple Pac-Man, like the Pac family, or just multiple Pac-Men, as it were, then that would be interesting, certainly. You could then expand it where you're playing as each of the 4 different ghosts, and each of the 4 different ghosts have completely different play styles, while still being somewhat similar. By waking up as a ghost as many as you can, and eating a power pellet, the ghost train will start to glow. Eat it to kick off an airborne gobble fest. Devour tons of ghosts to earn an added bonus. Eat 3 trains. Eat the 4th glowing one. And there definitely are some ideas of potentially having the player play as a ghost and then them being able to go through walls, because that would be a very standard thing a ghost could do, and not anything that we've seen in a Pac-Man before. And since that's just not, since you're starting off with the concession that no, this is just not Pac-Man or anything trying to pretend like it's Pac-Man, I think that'd be much more amenable. You'd be surprised though how just annoying it totally is to not have a chain lead into another chain. Like, we've done that multiple times. In a weird way, if you were willing to play this game and kind of ruin your experience of Championship Edition 1, earning points with dots. PAC dot points values increase as you eat the dots, capping out at 500 points per dot. If you lose a life, the value goes back to 0. Also, clearing a stage with dots remaining will result in reduction of points, so take note. Eat all the dots without losing a life and raise it to 500. Well, that might be too much to ask, frankly. We'll see how this goes, although the layout of this level is fairly easy also, so these are pretty much the same levels we had before. And I guess I could try to use the brakes, but if I try to use the brakes, then I take my hand off of the A button, which at that point you run into another problem. Like, the only reason that the bomb in Championship Edition 1 worked is that it really was the only button you were playing with. I guess maybe some of the right bumps and right triggers might do something here. Get a perfect boss battle. To get a perfect boss battle, you have to increase your remaining livestock as much as possible before you eat the super pellets. 1-up Pac-Mans appear after the boss attacks the maze, so be sure to collect them. Didn't even see that. Eat. The 1-up Pac-Mans increase your level to 10. That's insane. That's totally not what these games are about. I don't know how you really would make the ghosts into bosses. I just don't think you do. Unless you give them just faster speed or something. I'm not sure what other thought you could even have. Come on. And I just lost a life to gain a life, so that's not gonna work particularly well. And then lost a life to gain a life. And you have to get 5 of the... You have to get 5 of the things first. Yeah, I don't know if I can pull this off. They've made these boss battles too hard. And they've made it far too easy to just run out of life and time. Yep. See? Yeah, I would have had to done one more. And yeah, I don't think that it's really even worth it to try. I really don't think it is. Like, it'll just give me one more achievement. Yeah, it's 95% done. So, not on top of this being just I want to see if there's anything new here. No, there isn't. And on top of this being something that I just, at its core, don't like, it's also an incredibly short game. I've managed to stretch this out to over an hour, but in all actuality, I was ready to rage quit on this in the first 20 minutes. This is really bad. I'm surprised it's marked mixed, and I'll have to take that to heart next time I see a mixed rated game on Steam to see that there are just some people that will rate almost anything positive. I definitely don't recommend that. So that's going to be it for, I suppose, this spotlight of Pac-Man Championship Edition 2. I'll never play this game again. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.